Shalom, Watawabi which is peace, good morning, good day, giving all glory, praise, and honor. Call Halayim La Yahweh, that's the name of the Most High. Bahashem, which is in the name. Yahweh Shai, which is the Messiah, the only begotten Son, the true name in the Hebrew. Bahashem in the name of the Holy Spirit, Ruach Kodash, Spirit of truth. Peace, mercy, and grace to the household of faith. Beginning with the 144,000 servants, the prophets, to the rest of the elect men, the elders, the apostles on down, from the greatest to the least. Quick lesson, wanted to discuss the beast, the image, and his mark. I don't think I ever really did a in-depth lesson on this. And this lesson isn't going to even be in-depth in itself. It's kind of just going to be a simple explanation of it. I was inspired to go into this topic. I was talking to Jake, that is a part of the Sons of Zion camp, which is a spinoff of the Watchmen for Israel camp. And I was just questioning them about what they teach and, what's their doctrine. And one thing I'll say, man, is that the Lord really deals with, when it comes to One West in general, but particularly Great Millstone, beginning with the apostles and elders, man. They really got the correct breakdowns of these scriptures. And if, let's say, if something isn't correct, we'll see. Because I don't see any other camp going into these scriptures like the apostles and elders have done. They've been very diligent, and they've stood on business when it comes to what they say these scriptures mean. Talking about the beast, the image, the mark, what that is. I haven't heard another camp be consistent and accurate, or display some type of consistency and accuracy when it comes to breaking these things down. And this is very important, because where it's going to come from, the beast, his image, and his mark, is going to come destruction and salvation. It's damn near pretty much the last major prophecy to take place for the Lord come back and deliver those that are his. And you're going to have those that technically belong to the Lord that's going to brand themselves as property of the beast, and they're going to end up getting destroyed. So it's very important to know exactly what that is. And I just got a couple things pulled up to go into what it is, the beast, his image, and his mark. So I got it in the background right here, just a photo of the ancient Roman Colosseum. And today you still have these. I remember when I stayed in Charlotte, they have the Bojangles Coliseum. Let me see. If I'm not mistaken, yeah. The Bojangles Coliseum. So that's a modern day Coliseum. What is a Coliseum? Define Coliseum. A large theater or stadium. From medieval Latin, Coliseum, the large public building, especially a theater or stadium. The name since medieval times of Amphitheater Flavium, a vast amphitheater in Rome begun by Vespasian circa AD 75. It held 50,000 spectators. Its sections connected by an elaborate network of stairs, and was the scene of various kinds of combat. And we see that today. These are places where we see combat in the form of football, basketball, martial arts, boxing, right? Because that which is then is now, and this is something that was big in the Roman Empire. So this would be an example of the image, which we're going to talk about that too, the image. So first off, we would talk about the beast. Let's get Revelation 13. The beast, his image and his mark. Where is that at? It's here, but let's get 15. Let's start at Revelation 15 and 2. And I saw, as it were, a sea of glass mingled with fire. This represents the firmament. This is going to be the election of the house of Israel that gets out, to partakes in the salvation, and they're going to be looking down through the firmament from the chariot. The sea of glass is the firmament above us, right? and it mingle with fire because underneath is going to be fire. So it says, in them that had gotten victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name, which is what, 666. Stand on the sea of glass having the harps of God. So the beast represent various kingdoms. Okay, when you go to Daniel, the seventh chapter and 3, right? And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one from the other. So the 4 great beasts, these are 4 great kingdoms that came from amongst the people. The sea is also synonymous with people, right? Diverse one from another. So these 4 great kingdoms were different. So the great kingdoms, these very diverse kingdoms was the Babylonian kingdom, the kingdom of the Medes and Persians, which was a joint kingdom which began by the Medes. Then the Persians joined along with them and ended up absorbing the greater portion of the kingdom. So you got the Persian kingdom, you could say, right? The Medo-Persian kingdom. You got the Greek kingdom, which came after that, which was big. Then you had the Roman kingdom, the Roman Empire. And all of those are synonymous with beast. Because at the end of the day, these kingdoms are ran by men that are not pushing the law, statutes, and commandments. So therefore, they're living in a state of being a beast. They're beastly. Why? Because they're upright. They're men. They have breath, but they don't have breath of wisdom. They're not walking upright in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So the 4th beast, which people notice, verse 7 and 8 is talking about the Roman Empire, right? So them that got victory over the beast is them that had gotten victory over the Roman Empire. Because when you read Revelation 13, the Roman Empire, it had a deadly wound, which means it was finished for a point. So the Western Roman Empire collapsed in 476 AD. Then the deadly wound was healed, as it says in Revelation 13, chapter verse 3, which means that it healed itself and came back. And that's where you get the Renaissance. And so the Renaissance happened. Then you had the various people from Italy. You had various Italians, the Spanish, Portuguese, which were all descendants of the ancient Romans, which were Edomites, right? They pretty much resurged the Roman Empire back through the United States of America. So let's see if we can get something on that. Let's ask our assistant. So many founding fathers were deeply inspired by ancient Rome, especially the Roman Republic, not the empire. They admired Roman ideas of civic virtue, republicanism, and checks and balances. Okay, examples. Thomas Jefferson studied Latin and Roman history. George Washington was often compared to Cincinnatus, a Roman general. Oh, that's probably where they get Cincinnati from. A Roman general who gave up power voluntarily, just as Washington did after 2 terms. James Madison, the father of the Constitution, studied Roman political structure. Roman imagery in American government. The U.S. adopted many Roman symbols and architectural styles. Capitol Hill, named after Rome's Capitoline Hill, the Senate, which shares a name with Rome's governing body. Eagle as national symbol, also used in Roman legions. Latin motto, like E pluribus unum, out of many one. Neoclassical architecture used in White House, U.S. Capitol, Supreme Court deliberately mimics Roman public buildings. Okay, so this is it. That which is then is now reincarnation. These people came back and they pushed This was supposed to be like the new headquarters of the new kingdom. Just like Rome was the headquarters, but its kingdom spread all the way west to Spain, it spread east, and it spread south into northern Africa. Just like now, Babylon the Great, the hammer of the earth, this is likened as the headquarters, but it spreads all the way back into those ancient lands again via NATO, right? So this is that beast. And then this image, which we got a little bit here, this is part of the image itself too, which is the various architecture, Capitol Hill, Senate, the eagle. That's all a part of the image. So this is just a little article how ancient Rome influenced modern architecture today. So when you look at the roads, this is going to tell you. All right, the concrete. Romans were pioneers in using concrete, which allowed the construction of durable and long-lasting structures. Yep, concrete, stone, and brick. The infrastructure, roads, bridges, sewers. And then there's more things too. But this is all a part of literally the image, because it's something that we can see around us. The Colosseums that we open up the lesson with, that's another example. The Colosseums, the holidays, the days of the week, all of that, that's a part of the image. You know, the voting, the Democrat, Republicans, that's all a part of the image. This is all things that was a part of that ancient beast system, that ancient Roman Empire, that the people we were subject to participating in. Why? Because we in the grips of a kingdom that was divinely ordained by the Most High God to come on the earth. You know, and he even showed it to his prophets before they came to pass. Rome didn't exist in the time of Daniel, but he showed it to him before it came. So this is Isaiah 42. And 9, it says, behold, I'm going to start at 8. I am Yahweh, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. NLT, everything I prophesied has come true, and now I will prophesy again. I will tell you the future before it happens. And he told us that was going to be these various kingdoms. This was the prophet Isaiah, which was around during the time of the Assyrian Babylonian Empire, right, 700 something BC. So he prophesied these things that come to pass, and he did it again. He told us of these things that come to pass again through John, and that's why I tell you in Revelation, the 1st chapter, verse 1. It says, the revelation of Yahushua Mashiach, which the Most High gave unto him to show unto his servants, who were his servants, the prophets, the things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John. So so we in that short time now. Shortly came to pass. Even though 2,000 years ago was a long ass time ago, everything is being fulfilled in our day now. Because what did the Lord say? Because it's easy for us to get in the mindset of, you know, that these things won't happen. But he said, you rebellious house, I'm going to make it happen in your day. Ezekiel 12:21, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, son of man, what is that proverb that ye have in the land of Israel, saying, the days are prolonged and every vision faileth? Yeah, you know, shit, that we've been saying this. Y'all been saying this. These prophecies ain't happening. These so-called prophecies, y'all false prophets. Verse 23, tell them, therefore, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, I will make this proverb to cease, and they shall no more use it as a proverb in Israel, but say unto them, the days are at hand and the effect of every vision. Yeah, the days are at hand. So now let's talk about the actual mark of that beast in his image. Okay, this is that mark, because the mark, when you go into the Greek, is the word charagma, which is a stamp or a brand. So let's talk about how ancient kingdoms would brand their slaves. So the branding of slaves using heated irons or other permanent marks to identify and control enslaved people, has been practiced in various kingdoms, empires, and societies throughout history. This brutal method was not only a form of punishment and dehumanization, but also a tool of ownership, surveillance, and social control. And that's what's going to come with the chip. They are honing in on ownership, owning every single thing, surveillance, cameras every single where, including surveillance under the skin, and social control. So here's an overview of the history of slave branding. Now check out what civilizations they use here. The first one, ancient Egypt. Okay, while evidence is limited, some scholars believe that enslaved people were sometimes tattooed or branded to mark their status. That's why tattoos have been such a big push for tattoos, because subconsciously that's putting you in the mindset of branding yourself. That's why the law says what? Where is that law at? Leviticus 19:28. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord. And this is literally an example of printing marks upon you, marking yourself up. What Lil Wayne saying, soldier? You're talking to the sergeant, body marked up like the subway in Harlem. Call him, right? Marked up, tattooed, tatted up. So the law, right here, you ain't supposed to be doing that. So now, it was a time where we didn't know any better, but when you know better, you're supposed to do better. So let's get back to ancient Greece now. Enslaved people so we got Egypt and now we got Greece. Enslaved people were often marked for identification, especially if they attempted escape. The term stigma, which means mark or tattoo, how about that? So that word stigma, which we go into that in the Greek too, because when I typed in marks a little while ago, and it brought up that scripture in Galatians 6, no marks upon the flesh or something like that. That word mark is stigma. It says, or tattoo originated here, used to identify slaves, criminals, or captured enemies. Runaway slaves were sometimes branded on the forehead with the word delta for deserter. And look what else. Ancient Rome, branding was more systematically used, especially for slaves who tried to escape. A common brand was FVG, fugitivus, meaning run away, burned into their foreheads. Slaves were seen as property, and branding reinforced their owners' dominions, man. So we got Greece, Rome, and Egypt. And this is why the scriptures join Esau with Egypt. Let's go. The nations will be judged. Joel chapter 3 and 19. It says, Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. And we know that the Edomites, they ruled in Egypt during the time of Ptolemy. And we know that a lot of what a lot of their dark arts come from the Hamites, from Ham, the Hamitic kingdoms, Egypt. We know they get their shit from Babylon too, Mesopotamia, but we know Egypt is big with Esau. So we got that, and then what else? But I thought that was kind of a nice little fact right here, that the branding or the marking was in ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome. That's quite interesting. So when you fast forward today, how are they going to do that? They're going to do that with this. This is going to be that modern day branding to show that you're a property of them. And it's going to be made, this is what it say he calls a thought, but you're going to have to make the conscious decision to do it. he's not gonna physically. I don't believe he's gonna physically coerce the world to do it. Like literally have robots snatching everyone else and making them get it in them. You have part of how the witchcraft works is it's a lot of it is done. You have to make a conscious decision to make these moves, and that's why the judgment is going to be so severe when it happens, because you made your decision. Our temptation, right? Revelation 14:9, doomed for worshipers of the beast. So those that worship this Roman system, this last leg of the Roman Empire that came back, there's doom for you, which is a destruction. It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image. Listen, the angel said with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. Indignation is righteous anger. The Most High is going to show his anger, all right, in the time of the judgment. And he shall be tormented with the fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So the Yahushua and the angels coming back in this time. So when the prophecy says in Jude, it's only one chapter, but verse 14, and Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints, right, which are the angels, to execute judgment upon all and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds, which they have ungodly committed, and of all their harsh speeches, which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. When the Lord come back with the 10,000s and thousands of saints, the angels, they're coming back after this has been made mandatory, and it's going to be people that have, it's going to be a lot. Right now you have people that have it, but it's not common. There's going to come a point in time where everyone is going to have this, or a lot of people are going to start having this technology in their body. Really, they're going to have it to basically upgrade and keep up with the speed of which all of this AI and technology is going, the pace. You're going to have to take it. That's why it's also going to be causeth all both small and great, because it's moving at such a speed and a pace that people are just not going to be able to keep up with it. All right. And people are going to have to integrate into it. You know, they're going to have to augment themselves to keep relevance. So that's the mark, which is the modern day brand, stamp, tattoo, that's going to be issued forth by these people, by this beast. So we at the end, you know, I pray this was edifying. I just want something I wanted to go into. I don't know who might come across it, but I pray it made sense and it was edifying to you. And again, you know, this is I'm just teaching according to the teachings of the Apostle Elders of Great Millstone. That's who I learned from. So all praises to Yahweh Shem Yahushua first and foremost, and for their leadership and for them being you know, standing firm and continue to teach this doctrine, you know, even in their elderly years. So I'm gonna go ahead and close there. Pray it was edifying again. On to the next one.